Hey folks, you're listening to the MWM podcast books episode, and today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Sanchayan, and who's going to talk about his book. So let's hear from him.
As a special guest, I'm going to talk about a really special book in my life. It's Good to Great by Jim Collins.
Okay, so good to great. Sure, could you tell us more about the book?
I have been reading books from since I was a child. I started with fiction, and almost 5 years back, I started reading non-fiction. I've read a lot of books about being a one among the crowd, from tipping points, taking situations, going out of control, chaos. Here's a book that tells you how to bring order in that chaos. Jim starts by going over 10 companies, just 10. But those 10 companies, over the course of 30 years, have started from nothing and become giant billion-dollar companies. So imagine that you started on Cubbon Park and today you own the whole park.
Yeah. So, what genre would you say this book would be? Is it a business book or is it a self-help book?
I would say it is a book about life, self-help, and how you can learn from a business.
Okay.
What he teaches here about growth mindset and about how you strategize for growth, I think anybody and everybody can use it in their life. He talks about one of the examples where he talks about this airline called the Southwestern airline. It's basically an airline that was created. It was a copy of an other major airline, but what they did was he talks about something called being methodical and consistent. How many of us think about that? Everyone's saying about disruption, innovation. How many of you think about being consistent? And he says that just because this company, the Southwestern airline, was consistent in its business values, they were able to survive throughout big major changes in history, one of them being 9/11. Southwestern was the first airlines to start operating during the 9/11 attacks with half the people on board, but they were always operational. And that's because they never deviated from their plan.
Okay. Cool. So, what's the most important thing you learned from this book?
The first most important thing I learned was if you ever start a business or you start your own hobby, make that business, that hobby greater than you. Make that the most important thing
Right.
ever.
Like, why would you suggest this book to other readers?
Don't only read this book just to start a business. You probably may not have 100% successful business just by reading this book.
Yeah.
Start it because you want to become a more value oriented person. You want to make something that matters. You want to stop thinking about yourself all the time. Rather, you want to think about a bigger purpose, and you want to become a better version of you. You want to become methodical, and you want to learn from the biggest businesses like Intel, Southwestern Airlines, Walmart, etc., and become a better version of yourself in whatever you do.
Right. So, how did you get to know about this book? Like, where did you find it?
So I initially started by reading Stephen R. Covey's books. So there's he talks about pretty much the same things, how to have something called personal victories, and then how to uh, get interdependent with that. From there, I got recommended Jim Collins books.
Cool,
So
cool.
these were basically business books everyone goes through
Yeah.
when they all want to learn how to start a business.
Okay. So, as somebody who hasn't read a lot of non-fiction or a lot of business books, would you recommend this to somebody who wants to start with business book? Or?
I would recommend this book if you start a business or you're about to start a business and you want to learn how to grow it or you want to learn how to continue with your business. So I would certainly recommend this book to anybody. And even if you're not starting a business, you want to know how people get things done in a business, this is your book.
Sure, sure. So, have you read anything else by the author Jim Collins?
Actually, yes. So he follows up this book with another one called Great by Choice.
Okay.
It is a follow up to this book where he talks about modern day companies. So he takes another set of 10 companies and there he talks about a lot of other examples. For example, I think even in this book and in Great by Choice, he talks about the example of the first ever picture of the Mount Everest. So someone climbed on Mount Everest, took an IMAX camera and took a picture of that. He contrasts that with another group who climbed that same mountain 6 hours before. This team, they both of them were about to climb the same mountain. Within a gap of 6 hours, the team with the IMAX camera, they decided to abort their climb because there was a storm going. The other team wanted to keep climbing,
Okay.
and it's anyone's best guess who survived. Because the next week, the same team climbed Mount Everest on a calm day and took a picture of the Mount Everest with their IMAX camera, and the other team was never found.
Nice. So, just the last question, like, how would you rate this book on a scale of 1 to 10?
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yes,
Solid 8 or 9.
9.
Cool, cool, cool. So, yeah, we had a wonderful chat with Mr. Sanchayan on this brilliant book, Good to Great. Do check it out, folks. And it's available on Amazon, and I think they have something the audiobook on Audible as well.
They have it on Audible. They have it on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're someone who subscribes to the Kindle Unlimited versions, you get it. I think I got it on Prime Reading. It might still be there, so you could even access it there.
Wonderful, wonderful. So do check it out, folks. And so, all right, see you until next time. This was MWM Podcast Books episode, and thank you, Sanchan, for tuning in with us.
Thank you.